Hello, I'm Pete Torriello.
And I'm Maureen Torriello.
And it's time for the Sonic Boomers number 84. And this is our Thanksgiving 2021 edition
of the Sonic Boomers podcast.
Yeah, I can't believe that we've done 84 shows.
I can't believe we came up with 84 things to talk about.
I can't remember all of the shows that we've done out of the 84. I can think maybe a half dozen of them, and that's about all that I can remember.
I remember a lot, and I'm always kind of surprised when I go back and look at the list on Spotify and, look back a few times, and I was like, oh, I forgot that one. Oh, I forgot we did that.
And the good news is, if you are new to the Sonic Boomers podcast, all of our previous shows are available for you to listen to now. It's only maybe the last 15 or 20 at most that are available as Facebook videos, because originally we just started this out as an audio podcast. And then we added the video section, which we put up on Facebook and on YouTube. But all of the shows are available. You can hear them on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts, on iHeart Podcasts, Anchor.fm, Radio Public.
Well, all the usual suspects.
Yeah.
So,
and the videos are available on Pete Torriello on Facebook, also available at Maureen Conroy Torriello on Facebook, and at the Sonic Boomers podcast on Facebook. And remember, if you haven't heard the show before,
it's new to you.
And two of the ones that we are to this day the most proud of are probably the two shows that were the most serious shows that we did, and the most, I think, emotionally gut-wrenching for the two of us. Mm-hmm. One was called Mom and Dad, I'm Gay. And that was about our experience with our younger son, Mark, telling us one evening, coming out of the closet, as they say, that he was gay, and what our response to it was, and how that response, I think, forever cemented the relationship that we have with him. Right. And the other one was called
The Last Legal Prejudice.
Yeah.
In which we talk about the way that obese people are treated and perceived, and the kind of obstacles that they face for no other reason other than people don't like fat people.
Yeah, and there is no law today that prohibits anybody from saying something like that. Mm-hmm. They cannot discriminate against you because of your sexual orientation. They cannot discriminate against you for religion, for color, for any variety of things. But for somebody in the workplace to say to you, Pete, you are really one fat son of a bitch, or whatever, mm-hmm. Not a thing that I can do, really.
Right.
There's no law. There's no law that stops people from being harassed or being made fun of because they're obese. So that's why we called the show The Last Legal Prejudice.
So definitely give them a listen and
please
share.
Do.
If you know somebody that you think would benefit from it, or that you would just like to, introduce to the podcast, please do that. We really appreciate it. It helps us out a lot.
Powerful shows. But this week, we're keeping it nice and light, and we're talking about Maureen's family traditions, or my family traditions growing up around Thanksgiving time, since this is our Thanksgiving show.
Right. We're taping this the Saturday before Thanksgiving Day, right. So before the hectic holiday preparations take effect.
And if you're going away for Thanksgiving, we're portable. Take us along on your listening device or on your phone. You can listen to our podcast anywhere. It's great to play in the car while you're on your way over the river and through the woods to grandmother's house. You see what I did with that?
I do see that. I do see that. He's the idea man.
I'm the idea man. So tell me about growing up and Thanksgiving in your family.
Well, Thanksgiving was always at my grandmother's house in Orange, New Jersey. And we would go there, my family, my mom, because we lived the closest, we would go very early in the morning on Thanksgiving to help her get the bird in the oven and get the things started. And we'd come, be like breakfast time, and Mom would have Stollen out on the table, which is a German coffee cake kind of thing. And she'd put butter on it and we would sit down and she'd make me a cup of tea, and I'd have tea and stolen with her before we really got started with all the Thanksgiving things. And then, the kids did just as much as the grown-ups. We went out, we set the table, and we put all the silverware out and folded the napkins. And, we would have things to do in the kitchen. I'd help her snap the green beans and, just peel the potatoes. From a very young age, we were very actively involved. And, it wasn't like, that was one time when kids did not have to be seen and not heard. We were very much part of the planning and the execution of the dinner. So that was, how it got all set up.
Did you do anything on the night before Thanksgiving?
No.
Okay.
No. Pretty much, like I said, we would start very early in the morning on Thanksgiving Day. Now, my grandmother might have made some things on her own beforehand. I don't really remember, if she did any, preliminary things, but I think we pretty much just did everything on Thanksgiving Day.
Now, did you do anything before the Thanksgiving Day festivities? Like, did you watch the Thanksgiving Day parade? Or I know here in New York, we have the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade. Mm-hmm. And then one of the other TV stations historically on Thanksgiving has run Laurel and Hardy's March of the Wooden Soldiers. Did you partake of any of that?
No. Well, I shouldn't say no as definitively as that. The Macy's parade would be on the TV, and we would kind of watch, but we didn't sit down and watch it from start to finish. It was on while all these preparations were being taken place, and you'd kind of glance at the TV while you were doing stuff. But March of the Wooden Soldiers, to this day, I don't think I've ever seen.
I know it's on, and I think that as a kid, I would put it on just for something to watch, but I don't think I've ever sat through the entire thing.
Maybe we need to do that.
I don't know. I'm not a big Laurel and Hardy fan. I appreciate them. For some reason, I'm a big Three Stooges fan, as you know.
I know.
I'm a big Marx Brothers fan. I'm a big Abbott and Costello fan. Laurel and Hardy, for some reason, I kind of miss, or it misses the mark for me.
Okay.
For some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but they do. So I if it was on, I'd sit there and I'd watch it until something else got my attention, and I went off and did that.
A butterfly.
Yeah. Oh, look, it's a monarch butterfly. Goodbye, Laurel and Hardy. Yeah. And the Thanksgiving Day parade I was watching as a kid, but I seem to remember it differently, and I don't know if that's because we're looking at it through the lens of we're older adults now versus looking at it as kids.
Yeah.
But it seems to me that it's gotten a hell of a lot more commercial.
Yes, I think so. And it seems to me like as a kid, I seem to remember it being on the air for hours.
Yeah.
Now, it could be just a case
I don't think it was. I think maybe 2 hours and done.
I don't know. It seems to me like we would have it on at home before we left from my grandmother's house. It would still be playing when we were at my grandmother's house. Santa wouldn't be coming until just about the time we were ready to eat, it seemed like.
Yeah, at the end of the parade.
At the end of the parade. And that was ours. And
1 o'clock in the morning, the parade is still going on. They got searchlights going down on the street so you can see. And then the parade ends and they sign off and play the Star Spangled Banner. That's went all day.
All day, yeah. It wasn't quite that bad, but
yeah.
I kind of in my mind remember it going on for quite a longer time than the amount that they have now when you watch the parade. And I don't remember as a kid them doing the pauses for when they got to the grandstand. I don't remember the parade pausing and doing all these Broadway numbers and stuff. I seem to remember as a kid that the parade was a parade on TV, and the floats and the marching bands were all it. And there might be a singer on the float that they might kind of tune in as they went by. But I don't remember all these Broadway things and the Rockettes and all that kind of stuff, But maybe it was. I don't know.
Yeah, because now it's like, if there's a new TV show on, and here's the new FFB network TV hit, Life with Johnny, and here is Joe Fapala, who plays the part of Johnny, who's going to sing blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And now here's the new Broadway show about the Temptations, and they're going to sing blah, 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 and they stand there and they do their thing, and off they go. And I don't remember it being that.
I don't either.
Everything is a sell either for a product, a TV show, or a Broadway show, or a movie.
Yeah, and it's like, here's so-and-so, and she's got this movie to be dropped on next week, it's coming in the theaters near you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I that's one memory.
I don't know if it was like that when we were, I don't remember it being that way, but I might be wrong.
But who knows?
Because when you're a kid, you're waiting for Bullwinkle. You're waiting for the Bullwinkle balloon. You're waiting for the Rocky Squirrel balloon or something. You're not really mindful of all of the commercialism that's going on as a kid.
Yeah. Plus, it's not being pitched to you as a kid, so you're not. It's not like the products that you want or anything. So that's kind of what we kind of watched it, but not exactly.
So, what did your Thanksgiving table consist of?
Oh, first of all, there was a ton of us. There had to be close to 20 people, maybe more sometimes. My cousins from Philadelphia would come up, and they were there every Thanksgiving. And then some years, my cousins from Massachusetts would come down and surprise us, and it was always like a happy surprise. It wasn't a bad thing, but then my grandmother would be like, "Quick, Mo, go put some more plates out," and make room at the table. And I honestly don't know how we all fit at the table, because she had a dining room table, had a leaf in it. It was a standard sized dining room table. And then we would add a folding table at the far end that was like the kid table.
The kiddie table.
And my grandmother's house was set up with like an archway between the dining room and the living room, so the table could extend into the living room, and that's how they accommodated. But I honestly can't picture how we all fit. And mind you, she always had china for everybody, kids and adults, Blue Willow china. She had place settings for, I don't know, 20 people? I don't know. But, no paper plates. We did have paper napkins, but she put out the good silverware, and everything was all the china. And at the end of the dinner, we all brought the stuff out to the kitchen. My grandfather would wash the dishes, and us kids would dry them. No dishwasher. And I'm in awe when I think of it now about the amount of work it took to do that. And it was seamless as a kid. I don't remember it being a big deal. Everybody had a part to play, and we all did it,
I think in my family, Christmas dinner and Thanksgiving dinner were always at one of two places. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it would be at my parents' house. And the Thanksgiving table usually, as I recall, was obviously mom, dad, me. And then I had a much beloved aunt and uncle, who was actually my dad's kid brother, and his wife, Nick and Antoinette Torriello, and their daughter, Joanne, my cousin, who has always been a sister to me.
Yes.
Because Joanne and I more or less grew up together for decades and decades, until the passing of our respective parents. My family and Joanne's family, we would always be together, usually 2 nights a week. Tuesday night was my mom's bingo night. Mm-hmm. So my dad and I would get in the car and drive over to his brother's house and hang out for a few hours. And then on Saturday night, either they would come to our house and hang out and, coffee and cake and TV and blah, blah, or we would go over there. And we always spent Thanksgiving together and or Christmas together. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to say tradition, because we're talking about your Thanksgiving traditions, but there's a difference, I think, between tradition and what you always do.
And why don't you explain how you see that? Because I'm not sure.
Well, I'm glad you asked me.
I'm not sure that's obvious.
Tradition is something that you do because it's almost like it's a standard. It's
It's like it wouldn't be the same.
Wouldn't be the same
if you didn't
It's
do
a
it.
tradition. You know, it's like the high school rivalry football game on Thanksgiving. It's a tradition. It's not Thanksgiving if we don't have the rival football game on Thanksgiving. And I don't recall there being much of that in my family. But then there was what I call the category of stuff we always did. Mm-hmm. And that's what that comes under. They were either at our house or we were at their house.
Yeah.
But that was it. That did not change.
Right.
And the Thanksgiving table was pretty traditional. Turkey and mashed potatoes, gravy. And to be honest with you, I don't know what else my mom made when we hosted it, because that's all that I wanted as a kid.
Yeah.
It was about, soda pop and turkey and mashed potatoes and gravy, and hey, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. We would go to Joanne's house, and I think their house was a little bit bigger than ours. And so sometimes there would be some other relatives, like some of my father's other brothers would come over and their respective spouse. And that might be a little bit busier, but it was a bigger dinner, because I seem to recall that there were like a couple of meals going on the same day, because we would start, there'd be the antipasto. You would have salads and all kinds of stuff like that, but not unusual for pasta and sausage and meatballs to come out, because after all, we were the Torriellos.
Yes, you were.
Pasta, sausage, and meatballs to come out first, and you'd fill up on that. Oh, boy. And you'd sit back, and you'd relax a little while, and you bullshit for about an hour or so, and now, dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 it's time for the turkey.
Wow.
And then the big turkey dinner comes out. And then dessert. After that, all kinds of cakes and pies.
Yeah. Now, the turkey dinner was it. We didn't do all the pasta thing. Of course, the Irish is not going to do that. I remember we would have like a little appetizer. My grandmother would splurge, and we'd have shrimp cocktails.
Yeah.
But mostly only the adults got the shrimp, because it was expensive. And she knew that I loved shrimp, and she always made sure that I had one. But the rest of the kids didn't get that. I think she would put like a fruit cup in she'd serve it in like a wine glass, a fancy crystal glass. So like the adults had the shrimp and the kids had like a fruit cup or something in the wine glass. And then I remember putting out celery. I don't know why, but like celery sticks, like we would munch on that like while things were being...
Because nothing says Thanksgiving like a nice piece of celery.
I actually liked it though.
Yeah.
She rinsed it off so it was still kind of wet, and you'd sprinkle a little salt on it, and the salt would kind of like melt into it.
Yes. No, it is good. Celery with salt, it is good.
It was good, and she always had the nuts, a bowl of like the nuts with the nutcracker that you had to use, and it was like walnuts and Brazil nuts and pecans and all like that in the shells that you had to use the nutcracker for, and that was always put out on the, as like an appetizer, I guess you'd say. And then our regular meal was all the traditional, like you said, the turkey, the mashed potatoes, the stuffing, cranberry sauce, and she just did a variety of vegetables. I kind of remember green beans, and what else? Oh, the onions. She liked the pearl onions in like a cream sauce, and that was something that got to be a tradition, because like my grandmother always made it, and then when my grandmother passed and my mother's took over the thing, she would make it.
Oh, is that the stuff that we used to call the lumps?
The kids call them the white lumps.
Who made do we have the white lumps this year?
I'm not making white lumps. Nobody really eats them.
Yeah.
But it was a tradition, because my grandmother liked them, I guess, and I know my mother liked them, but I don't remember anybody else really digging in and saying,
Give me some of that, yeah.
But it was kind of like it wouldn't be Thanksgiving if you didn't have the white lumps,
Now, I remember the little setup that your mother would do on Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
She would take out all the dishes and the bowls, and she would she would like write names on them or something?
She would she would have the vegetable bowls and, assorted in sundry bowls from all different sources, so they were all different sizes. And she would figure out how many bowls she needed for whatever side dishes. And, let's face it, some things require a deeper bowl or a bigger bowl, like mashed potatoes. You're going to have more of those. You need a nice deep bowl for them, whereas maybe the string beans could go in a more shallow one. So she would plan it ahead. She was very OCD, and she would put a little piece of paper in each bowl. And
That's right.
This is for mashed potatoes. This is for corn. This is for green beans.
That's right.
And she would have them set out on the table so that when it came time to dish everything out, it was all nice and smooth.
That's what I do remember coming into your, I don't know if we were dating then or newly married or what, but I remember coming into your house and she would have the dishes lined up on the table with the little tags in them. And I was like, what?
Yeah. But the funny thing is, and my brother used to annoy the heck out of her because he'd go in and switch them. And, like I said, she had a real reason why why the mashed potatoes had to be in this bowl and not that bowl. But he would switch them around, and then when it came time to dish them out, you might end up with the mashed potatoes and only having the little bowl left, and then it'd be like, oh, Drew was at it again.
Now, is there any one particular Thanksgiving that stands out in your memory?
Well, the one that does is kind of a sad, happy one. I was in high school, and I was this was my first date, and usually I would not have gone to the Thanksgiving Day football game, but it was the first time being asked out by a boy, and I was like, please, please, please.
Is that the guy that made his own ties?
Yeah, that was
Okay.
John.
John.
So,
Actually, a nice guy. I spoke to him years ago on the phone. He called Maureen just to say, hi, how you doing? How's life? And I said, get lost, she's married. Okay. No, I was very
you were very
gracious.
cordial,
I was very cordial.
gracious.
And he was a nice guy.
Yeah, he was.
But remember you told me he used to knit his own ties.
Not knit, sew 'em.
Sew 'em, okay.
Yeah. But anyway, this was my first date ever with a boy, and he asked me to go to the football game. So we went to the football game, and that same week, maybe a day or two before Thanksgiving, my Aunt Kay had passed away. So, Thanksgiving was a little bit off that year anyway, and we went to the game, and Columbia won. My high school was Columbia High School with Maplewood. They won, and they never won. I mean, they had a crappy football team, and they were lost more often than they won. We happened to win that day, so I come up to my grandmother's, ready for Thanksgiving, and I'm all happy. I had just had my first date, first kiss. Columbia won, and I'm like, And I walk in, and it's like I forgot for the moment that Aunt Kay's funeral was going to be in a few days, and that everybody was going to be sad. And it was just kind of like put the brakes on when I came in, and I remember it being a very jarring experience for Thanksgiving that year.
Yeah. See, in our family, it would have been the bad news is Aunt Kay is dead. The good news is, who wants turkey?
No. Everybody, and she died fairly young, and it was kind of unexpected, and it was a sad day.
Yeah.
And but it was a happy day too for me because there was other things. I remember the conflict in my mind of the two stands out in my mind, as
I think the Thanksgiving Day that stands out most in my mind is I was a kid, and we were going to have Thanksgiving at my aunt and uncle's house that year. Mm-hmm. And Thanksgiving in our family would start on the night before because there was all kinds of cooking going on. It was very serious business. If you're from an Italian family, as I was, obviously, cooking is a very serious thing, and it starts the night before. And so they would already be making the meatballs. And amongst Italian families, meatballs are like, it's almost a status thing. You got meatballs? You got to try my meatballs. You got a no, you don't have a meatball. You got to go to my meatball because my meatball has got this in it. I put more parsley in my meatball. And so it was a whole big
competition.
Competition was a whole big thing. And it would start the night before. So there's all kinds of activity going on the night before. And Joanne and I decide that we are going to build a chain out of paper. And we're going to make it, hopefully, long enough to encircle the whole block. And we're going to have Thanksgiving dinner tomorrow, and we're bringing out the chain, and we're going to wrap it around. We're going to go down Heathcote Avenue and all the way around, and we're going to make a chain. And so we're downstairs, and we've got piles of construction paper, all different colors, construction paper. And we've got the white glue.
Mm-hmm. It's the paste.
The paste.
Yeah.
Now, that white pasty glue, it's not good for anything. You know, it's okay when you're in kindergarten, first grade, something like that.
Yeah.
But beyond that, that stuff doesn't hold together.
Yeah.
You know, especially if it rains. And I think we had a little bit of rain the next day, so some of them got a little wet. So Joanne and I are down there for hours, cutting out these strips and pasting them together, and we make this big, long chain. And it was great because we enjoyed it, kept us out of the family's hair upstairs cooking and whatever. And the next day comes and we decide, okay, let's take the chain out. Let's wrap it around the block. And we carry out this big paper chain. And I think it got down maybe one side of the street.
Yeah.
You know, we were way short, way short. But we start walking the thing down the street, stretching it out, and it's coming apart.
Oh, no.
It's starting to break apart. And we're out there with the fish glue and trying to put it together with the white paste. But more important, I think, is the time that Joanne and I spent together doing this. And I remember writing I don't know if it was a poetry or prose, but I wrote a piece about the two cousins who were very close, and about the chain that they constructed out of paper. And even though the chain has long since fallen apart and deteriorated and doesn't exist anymore, the love between the two cousins continues.
Oh, that's very sweet.
You know, and I think I wrote it and I gave it to her or something, but I don't, excuse me, I don't know if she still has it or not.
Probably not, but yeah.
But that particular Thanksgiving and that event stands out in my mind amongst all of the Thanksgivings.
It's a happy memory.
Yeah, it was.
Very nice.
It was. Yeah. And Maureen and I certainly hope that you will be sharing some happy times with your friends and family this coming Thanksgiving. We're going to have our younger son, Mark, and his fiance, Mark, whom we refer to as Mark C, because our son is Mark with a K. And our daughter, Kim, is coming, and it's going to be Maureen and I.
Yeah. So
unfortunately, Sean won't be able to come because he's with his partner's family on that day. Right. So, but we'll be thinking of you, Sean, and we will be more than happy to eat your share of
more food for us
of the dinner and have your share of the beer.
Okay.
And it's time now. We know you love it. We know you wait for it. It's the Sonic Boomers Trivia Quiz.
Yes.
And you got a question for me there, kid?
I sure do.
Okay.
And this one, I know, I think you might know, but I know somebody that will know this one, most definitely.
Who's going to know this?
Joe Caraselli, our super fan, Joe Caraselli, because he's a drummer, and this question is about drums. This is in the TV category.
Okay.
And the question is, what make of drums did Ringo Starr do his thing with on the Ed Sullivan Show when the Beatles appeared?
I know this. You don't even have to start the clock.
Okay.
I know this.
Okay.
But again, we paid a lot of money for the sounder, so God forbid that I spend money and then not use the thing.
It's a suspense.
Ludwig.
Yes. That's it.
They were Ludwig drums. And I guarantee you, Caraselli would know that off the top of his head.
I'm sure.
Because he'll be, Mr. Microphone. Joe calls me Mr. Microphone. Mr. Microphone, I'm a drummer. I'm a drummer, see, and I know these things. I've been drumming since Jesus was in knee pants. I've been a drummer. And I know Ludwig. There's also Slingerling drums, too. But Ludwig is better, and that's the one that Ringo Starr, and it was the kit number 816B to be. But the cymbals were probably, Mr. Microphone, the cymbals were probably Zildjian cymbals, because any drummer worth his salt is going to have Zildjian cymbals. But they were Ludwig drums, and I can't think that you would even think that I wouldn't know that.
That's
right. That's going to be. I guarantee you, I'm going to get a voicemail from Joe. Okay, you ready for yours?
I am ready.
Okay, here we come. This might be a tough one.
Okay.
This might be a tough one. I'm going to the publishing category.
All right.
Okay. Who wrote Siddhartha? Your time begins now.
Oh, I think I know this one.
This would be something if we're 2 for 2 today. Okay, go ahead.
Hermann Hesse.
That is absolutely correct.
Yes, we had to read that in high school.
Absolutely correct. Hermann Hesse.
We had to read that in high school. It's part of required reading. And I remember going to the movie. Do you remember the movie? It was a god-awful movie. Boring as all get out.
I think we went to see it. I think we were dating when we went to see it.
Probably.
And yeah, the two of us were like, did we just spend $6?
a whole $6.
A whole $6 to go see that movie. Yeah, I remember that. And I think it was pretty awful.
Yeah.
Really boring. Maybe if we saw it today, it would still be boring.
Maybe.
Hey, that's going to do it for this week's edition of the Sonic Boomers podcast, program number 84. Don't forget, there's a whole bunch of them, all the legacy episodes are available for you to listen to or for you to watch. And we would love it if you did. We would love it even more if you send us a note about how you enjoy the Sonic Boomers podcast or don't enjoy it, because we know it's not everybody's cup of tea. But we like it. And you can send it to us at sonicboomers@protonmail.com. sonicboomers@protonmail.com. So have a great Thanksgiving, everybody, and we'll see you on the other side of the holiday. Until the next show, it is rumored that I am still Pete Torriello.
And I'm Maureen Torriello.
And now, do us a big favor. Get out there and make some noise.